Alright folks, hope you're keeping safe out there. Today is something a little different. It's not an action figure review, it's a movie review. The other day I went to watch Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and I kind of wanted to verbalise my thoughts on the film. Now obviously you can't talk about this film without talking about the tragic loss of Chadwick Boseman and what effect his death had on the film. Because obviously the original film was something very different, a very different script, very different story, but maybe I think keeping a lot of the main story beats, mainly the antagonist and the conflict of the film to a degree. Now this film is without a doubt the best film of recent years from Marvel. It's a great departure from what I consider to be the MCU's low point, which was Thor: Love and Thunder, and I would quite happily put this film up there with my favourites alongside The Winter Soldier and Civil War. Now, just getting into the story just very slightly, it all kicks off with the funeral of T'Challa, and you really get to feel the emotion of the cast, not just the characters, but I think the actors as well. I can only imagine it was a very cathartic experience playing out a funeral for a friend. And you can really see that with just the expressions and the portrayals of these characters by the actors. Now, quite quickly from this, we see a world which, a year later, the political stage is kind of not exactly turned against Wakanda, but there is in essence blood in the water. And there's a lot of political leaning and sort of power play to try and get Wakanda's resources. Of course, this is Wakanda, so they're pretty well defended. But because of this, and because of what other countries are doing to try and find vibranium outside of Wakanda, it creates a conflict between the people of Wakanda and Namor. Slightly spoilery here ahead, so just if you don't want to be spoiled, just stop the video here until you've seen the film. But effectively, the system that the US government and other governments are using to try and find vibranium outside of Wakanda is putting Namor and his people, another society hidden away from mankind of originally South American. I believe it was a tribe of people who ingested a vibranium infused plant that transformed them into aquatic people. And they created a underwater civilization, with Namor being a mutant among them, able to survive on land with increased strength, the ability to fly, and he ages incredibly slowly. He's well over 600 years old in the film, and he's in his physical prime. But this, as I say, brings him into conflict with Wakanda because he doesn't want his civilization to be threatened, and he wants to take the fight to the surface as a preemptive strike, and he wants Wakanda to help them. Of course, Wakanda doesn't want to do this, but through threatening and intimidation, Namor is effectively going to war with Wakanda to try and get them to help him. Kind of a weird way of going about things, but it's what he's doing. Of course, this is all set to the main backdrop issue of there's no Black Panther. The heart-shaped herb that creates the Black Panther was destroyed in the last film, and so Wakanda is seen as having no protector. And the conflict here is, of course, that Shuri, the sister of T'Challa, the previous Black Panther, was attempting to synthesize a heart-shaped herb to save her brother when he was ill. Yeah, in the film, T'Challa dies of an undisclosed illness, and the idea is that if they were able to recreate the heart-shaped herb, they might have been able to save him, but Shuri wasn't able to do so at the time. So she has that guilt and anger building up inside her. And also, the film introduces Riri Williams Ironheart into it as she's almost like a human MacGuffin. She's the person who invented the machine that finds vibranium. So Namor wants her dead so that the surface world will stop running around the bottom of the ocean trying to find it and threatening his people. And the Wakandans want to save her. And as I say, she becomes a human MacGuffin and a plot point more than anything else. And her character portrayal is okay, but I'm actually really a fan of the comic book version, and I don't think they quite pinned it down just right in the MCU. Maybe they might improve the character in future things, but at the moment, just kind of not really what I wanted from her. But as I say, they've got time. Anyway, as I say, the conflicts ensues. Namor kind of invades Wakanda, and as I say, spoiler alert, he ends up killing the Queen of Wakanda, the Black Panther's mother, Shuri's mother, leaving Shuri the new queen and the last of the royal bloodline. And yeah, from there, the film kind of changes because it goes from we followed the Queen maybe as the main character. It's a kind of unsure really of who the main character is until this point, but now Shuri is dead center the main character, and because of things she discovered and collected while she was a short time prisoner of Namor and his underwater civilization, she's actually able to recreate the heart-shaped herb and use it to become the Black Panther herself. This actually won't spoil, but obviously you saw it in the last film when the Black Panther goes through like a vision quest to the ancestral plane when they receive the power of the Black Panther. She goes through the same thing, but the person at the other side who is supposed to be her guide is not who she was expecting, and it creates a really actually fantastic and great scene. But yeah, the whole film sort of culminates in a couple of very good action scenes. The CGI in this film is actually a lot better than the last one. One of my biggest detractions from the last Black Panther film was the ropey CGI at the end, but this film seems to get the CGI down really well. Some of the underwater stuff I think is a little too dark, a little too murky, maybe a little bit more definition. It didn't help this film actually that before watching it, one of the trailers was for Avatar, The Way of Water, I think that's what it's called, and the underwater shots in that are crystal clear and beautiful, while in this film they are, I think, intentionally dark and slightly obscured, but I kind of wish we could have seen more of the detail and just a bit more colourful. I know there's a hard thing to say, colourful in a film which is effectively an action drama, but it didn't help having that trailer before actually sitting down to watch this film. As far as the characters go, I think the Queen is really, really great. Angela Bassett really, I think, deserves an Oscar nomination for this. She acts her heart out in this film. The character of M'Baku, still probably my favourite character in the Black Panther. He is funny, he is serious, he is kind, he is actually really, really a great character in this. Everett Ross is back in it, Bilbo Baggins. He's okay in it. He's kind of he's a side character. He's there for plot reasons, but he doesn't detract from the film, let's say. Letitia Wright is Letitia Wright? Yeah, I think it is, yeah. Shuri, if I'm wrong, I'll put the right name up, and I apologise to the actress if I am wrong. As Shuri becomes the main character. I really like her. She's really good. She really puts across the internal turmoil she's going through, the guilt, the resentment, the anger. You kind of really feel for her because she's lost her family, and she's in a civilization where yes, there is technology. Yes, they are highly advanced technology-wise, but there's still a great level of spiritualism which she just can't accept because she is so entrenched in the technology, and having to take up the mantle not only as ruler but as protector of the country. It's actually done really, really fantastically well in my opinion. She does a tremendous job in the role. Namor as the main villain, really, really charismatic villain. You understand his motivation, you understand what his motive is. It's a little murky at times how he intends his plan to work, but it all comes together in the end. And changing Namor and his city from being like Atlantis and Greek/Romanesque to being, Aztec to being South American really works. The aesthetic change, having Namor be more like Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan, having him have that Aztec theming and design works fantastically well for the character. And the basically his people, his soldiers, have a really unique design which really stands apart from Wakanda. They're both countries, both nations, kind of. You can see they've had a developmental parallels between each other, but they've gone in very different directions with it, and they both look distinct. But at the same time, you can definitely tell there's a connection between them. Okoye is great in that in the film. She goes through a lot in the film, losing a lot, and having to deal with effectively being the general of a country where things have really not gone right, and a lot of it is put on her shoulders, the blame. But yet again, she is just great in this film. And as I said, Riri Williams, Ironheart, I get what they're going for. It's not the actress's fault. It's just I think the characterization is not quite what I wanted. She has two armors in the film. The first one is a great like jury rigged Iron Man armor, and the second one is a fantastic design. I think which combines clear Tony Stark Iron Man elements with Wakandan technology. And I look forward to seeing what she does without that Wakandan technology. Because again, spoiler alert, they don't let her take the armor home with her. But she now knows what she wants to build, and I kind of hope going forward the armor we see her in is a bit more comic book accurate or a bit more comic book inspired and just as cool. So yeah, that was just my thoughts on the film. As an overall summary, a highly recommended film. One of the best Marvel films, and even outside of being a Marvel film, it's just a great film in general. It's not very often I go to the cinema and there's long moments where everyone in the cinema is silent is silent and just enraptured by the emotion and the sorrow and the pain on display, as well as having that cathartic experience of when the characters move through that pain. You kind of feel it as well. This is a film I think where you go into it and you feel the grief and you feel like you're going through the grieving process with the characters, and that's something I really commend a film for, when it puts you in the emotional heart of the film and you just really feel it. So yeah, folks, if you can, it's still in the cinemas because it only came out a few days ago. Go watch it. I'm probably going to go watch it a second time in a few days. Just a high recommendation. Okay, folks, thanks for listening. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, please subscribe. If you've got your own thoughts and your own opinions on the film, please leave a comment down below. And until next time, folks, I want you all to stay safe, stay sane, and keep on rolling. And I'll see you all next time. Ta-da!